Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Winter session of Indian Parliament comes to an end amid protests and counter-protests. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Kuwait on 21st and 22nd December. First Indian Prime Minister's visit to the Gulf country in 43 years. US government shutdown looms after House rejects a Trump-backed spending deal. Both houses of Indian Parliament were adjourned sine die today. Lok Sabha was adjourned sine die amid protest by opposition and Treasury benches over the alleged insult to B.R. Ambedkar and directions by Speaker Om Birla to members against holding demonstrations at any gate of the Parliament.
माननीय सदस्यगण, मैं आप सभी से पुनः आग्रह करता हूं कि संसद की गरिमा मर्यादा बनाए सबकी सामूहिक जिम्मेदारी है। संसद भवन परिसर में किसी भी द्वार पर किसी भी तरह का धरना प्रदर्शन करना उचित नहीं है।
As the proceedings in Lok Sabha started, the Speaker called Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal to present a resolution for setting up a joint committee for Parliament to examine the bills related to One Nation, One Election. In the upper house, Union Law Minister moved the motion to nominate 12 members from Rajya Sabha into the Joint Parliamentary Committee. The motion was passed. The chairman briefed the House on the session's productivity stands at 40.03%, which is about 43 hours, 27 minutes of effective functioning. The chairman then adjourned the House sine die. India's President Draupadi Murmu attended the President's Colours presentation at the College of Defence Management in Hyderabad on Friday to recognise the institution's exceptional contribution to national defence. As the ceremony's chief guest, President Murmu emphasised the need for armed forces to continuously adapt to modern warfare challenges. She stressed the importance of innovation in military training to maintain readiness. The President also released a commemorative postal stamp cover and a medallion.
India's defense capabilities at the global level reflect both its strength and forward-looking vision. By focusing on self-reliance, technological advancement and strategic collaborations, India is not only securing its borders but also contributing to global peace and stability. As we move forward, India's defense sector should continue to evolve and adapt, thereby ensuring that the nation remains a source of strength, resilience and cooperation in an increasingly interconnected and complex world.
India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is on a 3-day visit to Mauritius. This is the first high-level engagement between the two sides after formation of the new government in the island nation led by Dr. Naveen Chandra Ramgoolam. The visit reflects the priority that India attaches to its relations with Mauritius under the Sagar Vision, Africa Forward policy and commitment to the Global South. India and Mauritius share age-old ties rooted in shared history, culture and tradition, and encompasses cooperation across several sectors. The visit will further strengthen the special India-Mauritius ties. Let's now turn to other stories making news today. India has sent humanitarian assistance to Lesotho. India's External Affairs Ministry spokesperson in a social media post informed that a consignment of about 1,000 metric tons rice departed today from Nhava Sheva port for Lesotho. He further said consignment will help in addressing food security and nutritional requirement of the friendly people of Lesotho. Several schools in Delhi received bomb threats on Friday, marking the 6th such incident under 2 weeks. An official from the Delhi Fire Services revealed the first alert came from Delhi Public School in Dwarka at about 5 a.m. in the morning, prompting a swift response. Police, along with fire department, bomb detection teams and the canine unit collaborated in the search, yet no substantiated threat was identified. Residents in New Delhi woke up to another day of blighted skies as the city was shrouded in a layer of toxic smog on Friday. The Indian capital grappled with double blow of cold wave conditions and deteriorating air quality. According to weather officials, the minimum temperature in Delhi dipped to 7 degrees Celsius. Fog engulfed the city. According to Swiss group IQ Air, the air quality index figure was 681 in the hazardous category at GMT 400 hours. In a tragic incident in Rajasthan's Jaipur, 7 people died and 40 others suffered severe burn injuries after a truck carrying LPG gas collided with several other vehicles that led to a massive fire on Friday morning. According to the police, the fire broke out at around 6:45 a.m. local time after the chemical in the tanker spread following the blast in the vehicle. More than 20 vehicles and a pipe factory situated on the highway also caught fire. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with Rajasthan Chief Minister to inquire and offer support over the reported incident. And President Draupadi Murmu expressed condolences over the loss of lives in Jaipur tanker accident. In a tweet, she says, and I quote, "The news of the death of many people due to road accident in Jaipur is very painful. My deepest condolences for their families. I pray for the speedy recovery of those injured." India is celebrating 61st Foundation Day of the Sahastra Seema Bal, a central armed police force at frontier headquarters in West Bengal, Siliguri. On the occasion, Union Home Minister Amit Shah attended the parade ceremony and inauguration of the newly constructed residential complex at ICP Agartala and Petropol. He also paid tributes to the personnel who lost their lives in the line of duty. We now take you live to the MEA press conference in New Delhi.
Looks after 7 countries, including Kuwait. So with that, I invite Secretary Sir to make his opening remarks, and thereafter we'll have questions. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Randir. Good afternoon to all of you. It's a great pleasure to meet you all today to brief you about the upcoming visit of the Honorable Prime Minister to Kuwait. Friends, Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi will undertake a visit to Kuwait on 21st and 22nd December 2024 at the invitation of the Amir of the State of Kuwait, His Highness Sheikh Mashal Al Ahmed Al Jabbar Al Sabah. This marks the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Kuwait in 43 years and therefore assumes considerable significance. India and Kuwait share an age-old bond characterized by historical ties, robust economic exchanges, and vibrant cultural connections. There is excellent political relations between the two countries. Prime Minister recently met the Crown Prince of Kuwait on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly session in September this year. Earlier, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar visited Kuwait in August this year. You would all recall the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kuwait, His Excellency Mr. Abdullah Ali Al Hayya, visited India recently on 3rd, 4th of December. Both the foreign ministers had earlier met in September this year on the sidelines of the inaugural India-Gulf Cooperation Council Strategic Dialogue in Riyadh. These recent high-level engagements and other ministerial-level exchanges have infused a fresh momentum into the bilateral relations between India and Kuwait. To further strengthen the institutional mechanism of cooperation, an MOU to establish a joint commission was signed during the recent visit of the Foreign Minister of Kuwait to India in December this year. The commission will be headed by the foreign ministers of both the countries. new joint working groups in the areas of trade, investment, education, technology, agriculture, security and culture will be set up under the Commission. It will act as an umbrella institutional mechanism to comprehensively review and monitor the entire gamut of the bilateral relations between India and Kuwait through these new joint working groups and the existing ones in areas which include hydrocarbons, health and in consular matters. India ranks among Kuwait's top trading partners, with bilateral trade between the two countries at more than $10 billion during the year 2023-24. Kuwait also remains a reliable energy partner for India, both in terms of supply of crude oil and LPG. There are investments also from Kuwait in India. Friends, the Indian community, which is numbering around 1 million, is the largest expatriate group in Kuwait and contributes significantly towards the continued growth of the Kuwait across various sectors, serving as a living bridge between our two nations. Cultural and educational ties also remain vibrant between our two countries. Kuwait is thus one of India's key partners in the Gulf region today. I just wanted to give you a brief context on the background to the visit. Now, coming to the elements of the program during the visit, the Honorable Prime Minister will be accorded a ceremonial guard of honor at the Bayan Palace, following which he will be holding separate meetings with the Amir of Kuwait and the Crown Prince of Kuwait. There will be delegation-level talks with the Prime Minister of Kuwait thereafter. During these bilateral discussions, the Prime Minister will review with the leadership of Kuwait the entire spectrum of our bilateral relations, including in areas such as the political, trade, investment, energy, culture and people-to-people ties, and the steps that both sides need to take to further enhance them. The Crown Prince will be hosting a banquet in honor of the Honorable Prime Minister. The Prime Minister will also interact with the Indian diaspora at a community event and also visit a labor camp. He will also attend the opening ceremony of the 26th Arabian Gulf Cup as a special guest of His Highness the Amir of Kuwait. Friends, there has been a major transformation in India's ties with the countries in the Gulf region. Honorable Prime Minister has given special emphasis to strengthening and deepening the relations with the Gulf countries. Kuwait is presently the chair of the Gulf Cooperation Council, with which India has established a structured conversation. The first ever India-GCC joint ministerial meeting for strategic dialogue was held in Riyadh in September this year, which I just referred a little while ago about the meeting between the two foreign ministers. So this historic visit by the Prime Minister is expected to open a new chapter in India-Kuwait bilateral relations. It will not only consolidate the partnership in existing spheres, but also unveil new avenues for future cooperation, reinforce our shared values, and build a stronger and more dynamic partnership for the future. It is also expected to boost the ties between India and the Gulf Cooperation Council. Thank you, friends, and I shall be happy to answer your questions that you may have.
Okay. A lot of questions. Huma.
Sir, I'm Huma Siddiqui from the Financial Express. Kuwait is holding the presidency for the GCC from this month. Will the India-GCC FTA feature in the talks?
So Divya from Indian Express. Earlier this year there was a fire tragedy in Kuwait where many Indians lost their lives. So the Prime Minister is visiting a labor camp. Is there a concern about the condition of Indians living there, or is there anything that is being taken forward on that?
It's a similar question as Divya ma'am asked. How much is the concern for the kafala system in Kuwait that has been a concern for the Indian workers?
Sir, Keshav Padmanabhan from the Print. Two questions. One is on the bilateral investment treaty. I know that in 2018 it expired and new negotiations have opened. Will that feature during this visit? And added to that, there was also, I think, an MOU on defense cooperation that was being negotiated at some point. So will that also be something discussed during this visit? Thank you.
First, let me come on to the FTA part of it. The FTA negotiations, we hope, will be continuing with Kuwait as the chair of the GCC. That is a process that has been going on for some time, and we hope that both sides will be able to work towards it and conclude it. Regarding the visit to the labor camp, the Government of India attaches considerable importance to the welfare of all the workers which are abroad. As I just mentioned, we have a community of around 1 million. As Secretary CPV and OIA, this is one of our priority areas that we have. So the idea of the visit of the Honorable Prime Minister to labor camp is to express that the amount of importance that the Government of India attaches to our workers who are there in a foreign country. So that is the prime purpose for this particular visit. As far as the kafala system is concerned, I will come back to that on that, because I still do not have any information or any concerns from our workers at the moment. Just give me a while, I'll just come back on that. Regarding the bilateral investment treaty, yes, the discussions are going on. The MOU on defense cooperation also, discussions are going on. We are expecting to finalize a few bilateral documents during this visit, but the discussions are still going on. Once these are done, maybe post-visit we will be able to give you greater details of that. Thank you.
We have a question there, Rishabh.
So earlier this year, when we lost 41 of our men in Kuwait, major questions were raised on the condition of living, and as you mentioned, Prime Minister would be visiting the labor camp also. Are we going to provide Kuwait with our concerns over the living standards of our men there? Because there have been continuous complaints that people have been placed in those labor camps and were even forced to work in inhumane conditions. So is that going to be a feature in the talks?
Mayanksha.
Excellency, this is Ananksha Mitra. I'm an independent journalist. Sir, during this outbound visit, Prime Minister, will there be any discussion on migration and mobility? This is number one. The second part is, the Kuwait got a lot of attention, and I believe this is the first country in the Middle East region who was a part of the Belt and Road, even before it was reconstructed from Obar. And it's Kuwait who recognized China. So what sort of the strategic thing we can expect during Prime Minister visit? Thank you.
Snehesh.
So the Prime Minister is going on this is a standalone visit, but there were inputs that the Prime Minister was earlier planning to go to another country, which is Saudi. Were the dates not been able to work out? Any particular reason why the dates didn't work out, sir?
Siddhant.
Secretary, if you can, I'm Siddhant from CNN News 18. If you can share some more details about Prime Minister's diaspora engagement, the name of the event, and approximately how many people are expected to attend the event. Thank you.
एक और लेना सर क्या? एक और सवाल है? मोहन।
सर कृष्ण मोहन शर्मा फ्रॉम भारत एक्सप्रेस। मेरा सवाल है कि जो हमारे मजदूर भाई वहाँ पे काम करते हैं उनके लिए जो वहाँ पे कानून है वो उनको कहीं से भी सेफ्टी नहीं देता और उनके पास कोई पर्टिकुलर फोरम नहीं है जहाँ पे जाके वो अपनी शिकायत कर सके और उनके शिकायत का समाधान हो सके।
जी
Okay. I start with the issue on migration and mobility and other labor issues. See, we have a mechanism called consular dialogue between India and several other countries. Those countries where we regularly send our workers, we have a mechanism for a labor and manpower dialogue. In that particular mechanism, it's a kind of a joint working group. There, all the concerns of our side are flagged, and the Kuwaiti side take notes of that and they try to address all the difficulties. So these two mechanisms are such that we ensure that these meetings are held on a regular basis. And I'm just not talking about, in this case, Kuwait alone, but with most of the countries, this kind of a mechanism exists between India and those countries concerned. Experience has shown that such regular interaction and dialogue has really been helpful in solving these problems. The second part was about whether we are doing any migration and mobility agreement. At this moment, we are not looking at a migration and mobility agreement with Kuwait. We have a labor and manpower agreement with Kuwait. Migration and mobility agreements are primarily with those countries where we are able to send workers on different kind of a mechanism, mainly the white collar workers, the professionals, like the ones which we have with UK, France, and are in the process, like you would have just seen an intention with Moldova, which was signed to have one migration and mobility agreement. Regarding the Manga fire accident which happened, see, most of our embassies go and see the labor camps, the places that our workers are staying, to ensure and see that the places are fit for their staying. And that is an exercise which is an ongoing exercise which we regularly are doing. The Mangaf incident was an unfortunate thing that happened that early morning on 12th of June, for which we lost a large number of Indian nationals in that event. We have taken, I mean, the Honorable Prime Minister himself chaired a review meeting that day itself, and our MOS, Sri Kirtivadan Singh ji, had personally gone, supervised the movement of the mortal remains of all those who had unfortunately passed away in that particular incident. Several compensations have been announced, not only by the government of Kuwait, but by the government of India and the employer also. I am not going into all the details. Those are here with me. In case anybody is interested after this, we would be very happy to share that. As far as the diaspora engagement is concerned, which you mentioned, we are looking at Prime Minister's engagement with big numbers of the Indian diaspora of that particular event. I am not able to give you the full details at this moment because certain elements of the program are still being worked out. but we are looking at a number of not less than 4,000 to 5,000 who would be attending in that particular event. But certain elements of it are still being tied up. So therefore I will not be able to at this moment give you the entire details. But we expect a very good interaction of the Honorable Prime Minister with our community. The dates for the Saudi Arabian visit, as you mentioned, you see, visits at any level are always as per the mutual convenience of both the sides. So unless you have mutually convenient dates, you will not be able to have a visit, whether it's an outgoing visit or an incoming visit. So the Kuwaiti visit, we were able to get the mutual convenience of the Amir, who in this case has invited the Prime Minister. So the visit worked out. Yes, safety of our workers is one major area which is a major concern, and this is something, as I said, we always keep on conveying to the Kuwaiti side, to any government where our workers are there. So the dialogue, bilateral mechanism which I mentioned is something which we use for this purpose, and also our missions are there, our ambassadors regularly take up issues of concern that our workers have. You see, we have what is called the Protector of Immigrants in the Ministry of External Affairs. Kuwait and the Gulf countries are designated as the immigration check required countries. So all those who hold an immigration check required passport are required to go through the Protector of Immigrants system of sending people. We have a robust e-migrate portal which you would have all participated in this inauguration, which the Honorable External Affairs Minister did on 13th or 14th of October. And that portal is something which we continuously encourage and request all workers who are going to the ECR countries to use this particular portal. The advantages of going through this is that we know who is the foreign employer, we know the channels through which the person has gone, we know in case there is a difficulty or in this case there is any problem, we will be able to extend a help in a minute to that person, because the e-migrate portal is connected with the Passport Seva Project portal, with the Bureau of Immigration portal. So to identify the person's next of kith and kin here in India or the employer over there is very easy, not only for the embassies but also for the government and our team sitting over here. So, I mean, through our friends in the media, this is something I would like to again reiterate, that please spread the word to use our e-migrate portal so that you go safe and the workers and everybody goes secure. This much also I can tell you, in case any person or any worker has any problem in any part of the country, of a country abroad, the Indian Embassy is always there. And we are the first that immediately should be approached, and we would be always there standing by that person to help them, no matter what time of the day it is. And for this purpose, we have 24-hour helplines available. I mean, mobile phones are accessible, so anybody can reach our embassies at any point of time. So this is something in a larger context I am telling, not exactly on the Kuwaiti frontier, taking advantage of being Secretary CPVOI in the ministry. So this on the about the safety and other issues of the workers. So I think I have covered all the issues that were raised. Yeah.
So we have a couple of questions, but please ask a question if they are different from the questions that have been already asked. So Jugal.
So hi, this is Jugal from the BBC. So just a clarification, the Al-Mangaf incident, can you provide us an update on where the investigation is at, and whether there have been any learnings insofar as for us as a country and advisories out of that incident passed on to the people going there to work?
Okay. Yeshi, please, I already explanation has been given on the labor issues, so anything you have beyond that?
This is Yeshi Seli from the New Indian Express. The bilateral trade between the two countries is close to 10.5 billion. Is there any talks, are there any talks likely around trade in local currency, since India has been propagating that in many other countries?
Sanjeev?
Sanjeev Barwa from The Week, please. So, can you please provide some more details about the energy and the hydrocarbon negotiations that we are having at Kuwait? Thank you.
The question there?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Altaf from Bloomberg. You have just said that Kuwait has invested $10 billion in India so far. So in what areas Kuwait has invested in India? Just to add, just a follow-up questions to ma'am. That if you share some specific, that is India, with this visit, is India looking to bolster trade ties with Kuwait? That, like, for example, is it looking to increase the energy imports from Kuwait? Thank you.
Okay. Take one last question here.
मॉडरेट फ्रॉम न्यूज़ नेशन, आपने डिफेंस कोऑपरेशन का जिक्र किया कुवैत के साथ, तो अभी भारत और कुवैत के बीच में डिफेंस कोऑपरेशन का स्टेटस क्या है, और क्या हम लोग कोई अपना प्लेटफॉर्म जो है वो प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि कुवैत हमसे ले?
I'll come back first of all on the Al-Manga thing. I do not have details of any investigation, the report that is going on. Maybe once the investigation report comes out, perhaps we would be able to know where all things went wrong and thereafter take action. But definitely the lessons have been learned about the incident, and hopefully the workers, the employers who are arranging for their stay and all will be able to provide them better. I'm sure they must be doing it. It was just an accident, you know, so I mean, accident is something of major concern. Local currency trade, yes, something it is we are discussing with the Kuwaitis, and it's an ongoing process. At this moment, the process is not yet conclusive. During the talks, the two leaders are expected to discuss all areas of cooperation. At this moment, it would be not correct for me to really speculate or say what all they are going to discuss, but definitely we are looking at discussing all areas. Boosting trade ties, boosting energy ties, and boosting defense ties would perhaps be a part of the discussions that the two leaders would be having. The areas where this expenditure, the investment is there, I do not have the exact details. I will try to get that and provide that to you. So we hope that all the areas that you have asked, we will be able to, we will have discussions at the highest level during this visit. And hopefully new avenues and new areas will emerge out of it.
Thank you, sir. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the close of this press briefing. Please stay tuned, stay connected with us to get more updates on the visit as it progresses. Thank you very much.
That was the MEA press conference talking about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's upcoming visit to Kuwait on 21st and 22nd of December. The press conference, it was shared that India and Kuwait share robust economic ties and cultural connections as well. Recent high-level engagements, in fact, have provided new momentum to the ties between the two countries. This visit is coming of an Indian Prime Minister to Kuwait is coming in more than 4 decades. Kuwait also happens to be an important energy partner There's also a Diaspora event that is lined up. Welfare of Indian workers also is going to be in focus during Prime Minister's visit. Meanwhile, India's Prime Minister, as we learned, will be on a 2-day visit to Kuwait starting Saturday, marking the first visit of an Indian Prime Minister in over 4 decades. The visit is set to cement the historic ties between the two countries, strengthen the cultural, trade and people-to-people connect between India and Kuwait. The Indian diaspora in Kuwait is elated at the news of Prime Minister Modi's historic visit to the country. Here's a conversation by DD India correspondent Akshay Dongare with several prominent members of Indian diaspora who are awaiting the arrival of Prime Minister Modi to the country.
Modi is making a historic visit to Kuwait. The relation between the two countries have been historically very strong, but it is going to be a huge impetus to the relation between the two countries with this historic visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister in over 40 years.
After Modi ji took charge, our respect in Kuwait and I think worldwide has improved. Indian passport is now one of the very leading passports. Earlier people were trying to immigrate to America, Canada. I think now it's going to reverse immigration that started. So we are in Kuwait, we are very proud of our Indian passport, and Kuwaitis respect us a lot. They respect the Indians a lot.
Already the impact is there when he is sitting in India. But once he comes here, our respect, our Indians as Indians and the India's respect will increase more in Kuwait especially and internationally also.
Everybody individual out of 1.1 million Indians and Kuwaitis which are connected, because it's a host country. They all are very, very excited to meet him, to greet him, and everybody say, Modi hai, to mumkin hai. Because the kind of work he has done in India, the kind of connect he has with all the Indians in Kuwait, with all the community, irrespective of any community, this is unparalleled and unmatchable.
This visit hopefully will bring and take bilateral relations to a new level. We've been waiting for this for a long time. We are aware that some developments may take place that will help the community as a whole, and we are really excited about it, and I think his visit will create some new impetus with the new government in Kuwait as well.
Modi, 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 Modi hai to mumkin hai.
Modi hai to mumkin hai.
Modi hai to mumkin hai is what the Indian community here has to say, the Indian diaspora, and as the experts have also been saying that this is the community that forms the backbone of also the Kuwaiti society as well. So clearly excitement brewing up before the visit of the Indian Prime Minister here in the country. With camera person Shiva, I'm Akshay Dongare, DD India.
In other stories, Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister Vijita Herath has said decision on foreign research vessels visiting Sri Lanka will be taken on the recommendation of a committee. Answering a question at a press conference held in Colombo today on President Dissanayke's recent visit to India, he mentioned that a committee would be constituted to consider the matter, which would prepare a framework on visit of any foreign research vessels.
Not only the Chinese ships, research ships, all research ships, regarding all research ships, we will appoint a new committee to prepare a national policy regarding research vessels. According to that committee's report, we will prepare the new SOPs, and using that SOP we will take that decision. We will not give our land detrimental to India or our region. That is our stand. In that scenario, we will take that decision according to our special committee's report.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. European Union leaders reaffirm support for Ukraine ahead of the second Trump term. Nigeria school fair stampede kills 35 children.
With regard to China-India relations, and is there hope for some kind of stability between these two giants of Asia?
I think we should be prepared that China will always seek
in this period ahead to contain India. It seeks to contain India in South Asia, for instance. It seeks to contain India when we speak of expansion of the permanent membership of the Security Council. It has never been a supporter. It has sought to contain India on various fronts, so it obviously sees India as a rival.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, and we now take you live to the MEA press conference in New Delhi.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We will begin our weekly press briefing engagement. So with that, we open the floor. Questions.
So following the SR level talks, China issued a statement saying that both sides, that is NS Ajidowal and Wang Yi, have come to a 6-point consensus on a package deal for resolving the border boundary issue. The Indian statement doesn't mention that. So, does what the China has said is right? Has India and China agreed based on what the Chinese have put out?
Hi sir, I'm Siddhant from CNN News 18. So basically, CNN News 18 has done a story in which we have accessed a report from Canada's Immigration Board which confirms granting asylum to suspected Sikh militants. Now the report data documents are suggesting that the rise to asylum grant has happened since Jagmeet Singh's party has supported Justin Trudeau's party, sir. And we have a document from the Government of Canada on that. I would like you to comment on that. Thank you.
This is Yeshi Seli from the New Indian Express. Following reports on the threat that Gurpatwant Singh Panun had made, against security concerns were raised, about India's ambassador to the US, and the US spokesperson in Delhi has said that we provide adequate security. Are you satisfied with the kind of security that they have, or are there concerns that India has expressed?
Hi, sir. Siddhant from WION. We have seen the Americans putting sanctions on the Pakistani missile project. What is India's stance on the Pakistani ballistic missile project, which can be a threat for India as well? My second question, Mahfouz Alam, he is the member of the interim government in Dhaka. He, in a Facebook post, said that there are territories of Indian territories which are Bangladeshi territories. He deleted the post later on. What is India's stance on that?
सर मधुरेंद्र, मैं न्यूज़ नेशन से। अभी रिसेंट जो सैटेलाइट पिक्चर्स है वो बता रही हैं कि डोकलम में तकरीबन 22 गांव विलेज चाइना ने डेवलप किए हैं। वही इलाका है जहां पर भारत ने चीन के बढ़ते हुए विस्तारवाद को रोका था, भारतीय सेनाओं ने रोका था। ये जो मौजूदा तस्वीरें उभर कर सामने आ रही हैं वो भारत के चिकन नेक के लिए भी थ्रेट पैदा कर रही हैं। क्या भारत का स्टैंड है इस मसले पर और चीन के इस डेवलपमेंट पर?
First, coming to your question, Shrehesh. See, the SR level talks happened on 18th. After that, we put out our press release. Our press release gives you a perspective as to what was discussed. Now, the specific question about the 6-point consensus, I think we can speak for our press release and give you details on that. I can say that, what we have said in our press release, that we have reaffirmed their commitment, both sides have reaffirmed their commitment to explore a fair, reasonable and mutually acceptable framework for the settlement of the boundary question in accordance with the political parameters and guiding principles agreed in 2005. There were some questions about this 2005 also. It's a document which is available, publicly available. It is there on our website, so I would encourage you to have a look at that. But please, I would urge that please refer to our press release. That gives you the details of the discussion that happened. As also, coming to your question, the 6-point consensus. The 6-point consensus is detailed in the press release that you referred. Siddhant, regarding this, as part of their immigration policy. Countries have this program of granting asylum or taking a decision in regard to a person or an alien in their country. As far as the particular case that you referred to, I don't have any details. So once maybe if you share more details, I can give you our point of view on that. Yeshi, on your question regarding threats, yes, as and when such threats are issued, we take them very seriously and we raise it with the US government. In this particular case also, we've raised it with the US government, and it is our expectation that the United States government will take our security concerns seriously and act on it. Siddhant, regarding a question, see, as you know that we follow all developments which have a bearing on our security and our interest very closely, and we take these things very seriously and take action as appropriate. On the question of the statement that you referred to made by a Bangladeshi senior leader, we have taken this up with the Bangladeshi government. We have actually strongly registered a protest on this issue. We understand that the post that you referred has been taken down. We would like to remind all concerned to be mindful of their public comments. While India has repeatedly signaled interest in fostering relations with the people and the interim government of Bangladesh, such comments underline the need for responsibility in public articulation. And once again to repeat that we have strongly protested against this with the Bangladesh government. मधु, आपका सवाल दो देशों का है, चीन और भूटान को लेके सवाल है। तो ये सवाल चूंकि उन दो देशों का है तो आपका सवाल उनको आप करें तो ज़्यादा बेहतर होगा। Angsha?
So we have seen the frustration and excitement both from Indian as well as Chinese enterprises on business front. And since 2020, the Galwan incident, this is completely freeze. So how do you react to this situation and those sort of frustration and excitement among the entrepreneurs and business spaces spread across India and China? Thank you.
Ajay?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Ajay Banerjee with the Tribune. Sir, I bring you to the SR level talks again, sir.
Okay.
2 points mentioned in the Chinese statement, the 2 specific points. One, they spoke about putting the border issue in an appropriate position in the bilateral relations. And second point, they mentioned both sides agree to further refine the management rules for the border areas. So my question is, where does India place the border issue? What is India's appropriate position? And 2, are we refining the management rules? Is a new border agreement on the cards?
Okay. Jugal?
Hi, sir. This is Jugal from the BBC. So I've got 2 questions. First is on the SR level talks. Can you clarify what is to happen or what is India's stand insofar as the friction points are concerned? And the second question is, there is this one name that keeps cropping up very repeatedly in the political discourse. The name is George Soros. Now, I want to understand, assuming he's not an Indian national, is there a case that we as a government have lodged and are pursuing with any foreign entity about this individual? Thank you.
Okay. Hello.
Sir, Kalwar from the Hindu newspaper. Sir, the chief advisor of the Bangladesh government, Professor Muhammad Yunus, has said that the election in the country would be held either next year or early 2026. But responding to him, the main opposition party of Bangladesh, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, has said that by not announcing a clear date for election, the chief advisor has actually disappointed the political class, including BNP. So what is really India's position as far as that speech is concerned? Because he has not given a clear-cut date for holding an election in Bangladesh.
Okay. Manish.
सर मैं मनीष झा हूँ TV9 भारतवर्ष से। कल हम लोगों ने देखा कि किस तरह इजिप्ट में मोहम्मद यूनुस और शहबाज शरीफ गले मिले, लग रहा था कि कुंभ के बिछड़े भाई हैं। तो उसके बाद ये तय हुआ कि बांग्लादेश अब सार्क समिट भी आयोजित करेगा और उसको लेकर मोहम्मद यूनुस ने काफ़ी पॉजिटिव अपना रिएक्शन दिया है। तो इंडिया का क्या कहना है अगर बांग्लादेश सार्क समिट को आयोजित करता है?
Okay, SR talks.
So a little clarity actually on the 6-point that China has actually claimed and it was agreed. I mean, is there any divergences between the two sides on the 6 points? We agree to certain points and not agree to certain portion of the Chinese statement. Can you just give some clarity about whether there is an agreement on the 6 points or not?
Okay. So let me come to these questions first. Ayangsha, regarding business relations, we have since October issued several press releases giving you readout of all the meetings that have happened, including at the highest level, where it has been agreed that we'll take step action. SR level talks have happened. Earlier in Kazan, the Prime Minister and President of China, they met, and now we'll take it forward with other meetings, and thereafter we'll see how things shape on these matters. Second question came from Ajay. See, what happened in the SR level talks, we have clearly defined in a press release. So I would request you that please refer to our press release, and I can only speak for my press release, our press release. If you have any question with the other press release, you should take that question to the relevant party. So that is, Ajay, where I'll stop. Similarly, Jugal, your question again, and I would tell you, I will request you to please, I would urge you to read the press releases in detail. You will get your answers there. And I am responsible for what we have put out in our press release. If you have any questions regarding that, I'm here to clarify. And I would like to again, read out excerpts from our paragraph, from our press release, where we have given all the details of the issues discussed. The two sides have reaffirmed their commitment to explore a fair, reasonable and mutually acceptable framework for the settlement of the boundary question in accordance with the political parameters and guiding principles. And apart from discussing the framework for settlement of the boundary question, the SRs reviewed issues of peaceful border management comprehensively with this round. And for more details, I would again urge your attention towards a press release. On the question of the other question that you had on the friction points, External Affairs Minister made a detailed statement in the Parliament. This particular statement is self-explanatory, so I would urge you to have a look at that. On the other question about particular individual that you raised, I don't have any idea. I mean, he's been in the news. There are several discussion points around him about his activities, etc. But it doesn't. We haven't come across any such issue where we need to. We have. I don't have any update on it. I mean, we've seen him being discussed in the media. Kalol, on Bangladesh, Foreign Secretary visited Bangladesh, where we had a range of talks, including the Foreign Secretary level consultations, Foreign Office consultations, and we have very clearly defined our approach towards our ties with Bangladesh. We have said that we support a democratic, stable, peaceful, progressive and inclusive Bangladesh. We have reiterated our willingness to build a positive and constructive relationship with Bangladesh based on mutual trust, respect and mutual sensitivity to each other's concerns and interests. We've also emphasized that the people of Bangladesh are the main stakeholders in India-Bangladesh relations, and noted that India's development priorities, and multifaceted engagements with Bangladesh, including in the areas of connectivity, trade, power, energy, and capacity building and such activities, are all geared towards meeting the aspiration of benefiting the people of Bangladesh. So that is how our approach. That is our approach to Bangladesh and our ties with Bangladesh, and as a democracy also. मनीष, आपका सवाल मिस्र में हुए वार्ता को लेके है। तो आपको ज्ञात है कि जहां तक रीजनल कनेक्टिविटी की बात है, हम लोग का भरपूर कोशिश रहता है कि रीजनल कोऑपरेशन को हम लोग मजबूत करें, और रीजनल कोऑपरेशन को मजबूत करने के लिए कई एक सारे जो हम लोगों ने प्रोग्राम्स या जो प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं उसके तहत हम लोग आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं। बिम्स्टेक एक कनेक्टिविटी प्रोग्राम है, एक कनेक्टिविटी प्लेटफॉर्म है जिसमें कई एक देश हमारे पड़ोस के जुड़े हुए हैं। सार्क भी एक प्लेटफॉर्म है, कई एक सालों से सार्क ठंडा पड़ा हुआ है, और किस कारण से ठंडा पड़ा हुआ है इससे आप भली भांति अवगत हैं। Manas, again your questions, I would again refer you. See, if you have any doubts about a particular press release, you must take your questions to that particular party. They will be in a better position to answer. As far as we are concerned, we have clarified our points about the SR talks, and we stand by those discussions. Can we take more questions? Neeraj?
सर, नीरज न्यूज 18 इंडिया से 2 दिन पहले एक आतंकी मॉड्यूल का खुलासा किया है असम की STF ने। 7-8 लोगों को गिरफ्तार भी किया जिनका रिश्ता बांग्लादेश से है, और वो स्लीपर सेल पूरे देश में फैलाना चाहते थे। इस तरह की जो गतिविधियां हो रही है, इनको लेकर डिप्लोमेटिक चैनल के जरिए बांग्लादेश सरकार से कोई बातचीत की जा रही है?
केशव?
Sir, this is Keshav Padmanabhan from the print, and going back to the SR talks, but from our press release, where you said positive directions towards resumption of border trade, the Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. Can you give us a sense of what do you mean by positive directions? Can you clarify whether this is going to resume soon? Can you provide that clarification from our press release, sir?
Jessica?
This is Jessica Taneja from DD India. Any update on the 16 Indian workers who are trapped in the Libya cement company? They say their passports and their phones are not with them and they're in dire situation.
Derek?
Good evening, sir. So I have 2 questions. One is on the SR level talks. Our press release mentions that there were discussions on bilateral, regional and global issues of mutual interest. And the Chinese MFA also mentioned about issues of global south featuring. So was UNSC reforms also discussed? And because China is the only P5 country that hasn't openly come out in support of India's permanent residency. And the second question is on Myanmar, sir.
Third question. Oh, second question.
Second question, sir. The Arakan army, it has, there are reports that Arakan army has made some advances and fighting has intensified. And we also saw that the Foreign Secretary was in Thailand recently. So, could we get a reaction, on the fighting, and was Myanmar's situation discussed in that visit as well? Thank you.
Okay. Sorry? Okay. Reza?
Reza from Hindustan Times. Just a quick, related to what Keshav asked, when you talk about positive direction on cross-border cooperation, does that mean, the 2 sides are now going to kind of finalize the modalities, or is this now going to go ahead? I mean, following the SR talks. And number 2, in Myanmar, the reports are that the Arakan army has actually captured a major headquarter today in Rakhine State. Except for Sidwe and another town, everything else is now under the Arakan army. How are we looking at this situation?
Okay, so SR and Arakan. So first, Neeraj, आपके सवाल का देखिए, सुरक्षा को लेके जो भी मसला होता है वो उस मसले पर हम लोग उस मसले को बहुत ध्यान से और पूरे चुस्ती के साथ उससे हम लोग निपटते हैं। जहाँ तक आपने आतंकी घटनाओं की बात की, सुरक्षा की बात की, इस पे जो हमारे एजेंसीज हैं, जो अथॉरिटीज़ हैं, उस पे वो अपनी गतिविधियां कर रहे हैं। जहां तक सुरक्षा की बात है, और भी अन्य बांग्लादेश के साथ हमारे बहुआयामी संबंध है। बहुत सारे मुद्दे इस पे बात किया जाता है, और बहुत सारी चीज़ों हमारे दोनों देशों के बीच में बहुत सारी मसले, बहुत सारे इश्यूज हैं जिस पे हम लोग बातचीत करते हैं। और हाल ही में जब विदेश सचिव की भी यात्रा हुई, उस दरमियान भी हम लोगों ने फॉरेन ऑफिस कंसल्टेशन में ये बहुआयामी जो रिश्ता है हम लोग का, उसके हर मुद्दे पर हमारी चर्चा हुई। केशव, now on positive directions, as you would understand, is self-explanatory. It means that the discussions have gone into the positive direction, and thereafter whatever else is required will be done to take these cross-border exchanges forward. Jessica, on the update about those Indian workers, these Indian workers, they had reached Benghazi via Dubai. They had gone there but did not have proper documents. When they landed there were some issues regarding their work. When we came to know of these difficulties, we already, as you know, we have now our embassy in Tripoli is active. We reached out to the workers, we reached out through our the community members there, and we have given them a helping hand. We have arranged for their food, for their daily living articles. Our CDA in Tripoli has also met these workers. This happened on, I think, on 4th of November. Since these people had gone to Libya without proper documentation, so to exit the country now, they need an exit permit as per the guidelines of Libya. The embassy is in touch with Libyan authorities to arrange for their exit permit. The exit permit is taking little time because they had gone there without proper documentation. But once this exit permit is done, all these people who have having difficulties, our embassy will facilitate the return home. As of now, our embassy is in touch with them, their employers, and taking care of them, and we are closely following the situation and the development. Area, to your question, SR level talks is about the border. So obviously, you know, the other issues are there may be some reference to it, you know, obliquely, etc. But principally, the SR level talks are focused on the boundary question. You also talked about Myanmar. What was the question? Can you repeat on Myanmar? Sorry?
Arakan Army has been making advances. The fighting has intensified. So, like, would it be possible to get a reaction? We also saw that, you know, yeah.
So, you know, yes, we are following developments in Myanmar very closely. We understand that the fighting has intensified, and we are following the evolving situation very closely. You would also understand that some time back, because of the security situation, we had relocated our people serving in our consulate in Sitwe to Yangon. But even though the relocation has happened, our consulate in Sitwe continues to be functional. We also have several development cooperation projects there, which continue to go forward. And I must also emphasize that these projects are all grant-based projects from India, and they are intended to serve the interest of the people of Myanmar. And this is an aspect which I guess people who are there will keep these in mind as the situation evolves. Also on your question regarding the talks that happened in Thailand, yes, a foreign secretary participated in those talks in Thailand. The talks were on the land boundary neighbors of Myanmar. That these talks happened on 19th of December. where we explained our position. You are aware of our position on Myanmar. We have called for cessation of all violence. We've called for peace and stability and resolution of the ethnic issue through the establishment of a genuine federal democracy. We also believe that this process of return of stability should be Myanmar-led and Myanmar-owned, and should take into account the views of all stakeholders to ensure that peace and stability return to Myanmar early. Also, I would like to add the land boundary neighbors of Myanmar also have a particular set of concerns. Reza, your questions were similar to both. Vishal?
मैं विशाल पांडे हूँ एबीपी न्यूज से। नेपाल में क्रिप्टो केस में 2 भारतीयों को गिरफ्तार किया गया है। 6 महीने से ज्यादा का समय हो गया है और दोनों को जमानत नहीं मिल पाई है। दोनों पर आरोप है कि उनके मोबाइल फोन में क्रिप्टो ऐप था जो कि नेपाल में गैर कानूनी है। भारत सरकार कैसे इस मामले को देखती है, कैसे उनकी मदद कर सकती है?
Okay.
Sir, I'm Arunesh from ANI. I have 2 questions.
Where?
Sir.
Arunesh, बताइए.
So the first question is, the Kremlin has already confirmed that President Putin will be traveling to India. The dates are being worked out. Some reports have said that it might be early next year. So is there a chance that he might be the chief guest at the Republic Day parade? And the second question is, Bharatiya Janata Party, ruling Bharatiya Janata Party recently leveled allegations that the US State Department meddles in India's internal matters and the deep state there and tries to spread anti-India agenda. So what is MEA's stand on it, and is it India's official stand?
Altaf.
Thank you, Mr. Jaswal. I know this question was asked before. I just want to ask again if there is an update. And this question is from millions of Afghans living in Afghanistan. So the question is, when will India normalize consular services in Afghanistan? Because they have been waiting for 3 years to get visa and come to India. When will this finally happen? And they want to get a clear response on this. And my second question is, is India in talks with anyone in Afghanistan, like the defense minister of the Taliban, to normalize diplomatic ties or on other issues? We have heard that defense minister is regularly contacting or in talks with the Indian government to normalize the ties. Thank you.
So I'm Huma Siddiqui from the Financial Express. 2 questions. So who is the chief guest for the PBD program in Odisha next year? And my second question is, Bangladesh is looking for rice from India. So have they contacted the government? Is government ready to send it to them?
Okay. विशाल, पहला सवाल आपका क्रिप्टो को लेके नेपाल में। देखिए, नेपाल में हमारे भारतीय लोग रहें या दुनिया के किसी कोने में रहे, भारतीय लोग बाहर में उनकी सुरक्षा उनकी जिम्मेवारी हमारी जिम्मेवारी है। और इस मामले में भी अगर वो भारत के नागरिक हैं और उन पे वहाँ पर कोई मुकदमा या कुछ इस प्रकार का चल रहा है, इस मसले पे मुझे व्यक्तिगत इस मसले पे मेरे पास अपडेट नहीं है, लेकिन मैं आपको ये आश्वासन दे सकता हूं कि जब भी कोई इस प्रकार का मसला होता है, हमारी एम्बेसी हो, हाई कमीशन हो, जो मिशन है वो चुस्ती के साथ वहाँ के सरकार के साथ मिलकर हमारे हितों को सुरक्षित करने का, हमारे हितों पर काम करते हैं और करते रहेंगे। Arunesh, this question I have answered earlier also. We have a mechanism of annual summit with Russia. The last annual summit, as you know, happened in Moscow, where our Prime Minister traveled for the annual summit. The next one will happen in India, for which dates will be decided between both countries, India and Russia, as per their mutual convenience. So once those dates are decided, etc., we'll let you know as to when the visit will happen for the annual summit. The other question also that you asked in the last presser, I had made a position known on this particular issue. But if you want, I can repeat it. Last time also we had reacted to that. And I had said that we have seen reports about foreign interference in India, including in the international media. You are also aware that this was discussed in both houses of parliament. So that is the point. Altaf, our Joint Secretary J.P. Singh, who looks after Afghanistan in the Ministry of External Affairs, he has been traveling. He has traveled to Afghanistan, Kabul, on few occasions. And whenever those travels and those visits happen, we have been giving you an update as to the kind of interaction that we've had. Yes, he met with interim ministers last time when he visited. So those details are already available in the public domain on our website. I would urge you to have a look. We continue to focus on strengthening our ties with the people of Afghanistan. And on visa matters also, we have regular dialogue, and hopefully we'll take these things forward as well. Uma, on the chief guest for Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. Yes, the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, the dates they are from 8, 9, they are on 8th, 9th and 10th in Bhubaneswar. So we should be hopefully announcing the chief guest for the Pravasi Bharatiya soon, for your benefit. What I can tell you is that, as it happens each time, the chief guest for the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is someone from the Diaspora community from at an appropriate level, where he and she, at the highest level, he or she participates as the chief guest. On Bangladesh rice, I don't have an update on this, but what I understand is that traffic or trade between Bangladesh and India continues to function, and articles of trade are plying between both countries. There may be issues here and there, but by and large trade is happening. On this particular issue of rice request, I don't have an update on this particular matter, but I can get back to you on this. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let's come to the closure of this press engagement. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you. Merry Christmas. And if I don't get to see you before that, then Happy New Year as well.
You're watching the MEA press conference from New Delhi. Host of issues being touched upon, including India registering strong protest against anti-India comments by a certain Bangladesh leader. Also, senior level talks with China on border issues are continuing. Besides, India is closely monitoring the US sanctions on Pakistan's ambitious missile program. Those updates and more from the MEA press conference. Moving on, Russian President Vladimir Putin has emphasized that Russia needs long-term peace and not a ceasefire in Ukraine. On Thursday, at his annual press conference in Moscow, President Putin said Russia has no preconditions for starting negotiations with Ukraine, emphasizing that the country is ready to engage in talks. He added Ukraine operation had seen major changes as Russian soldiers are progressing towards accomplishing their primary goals, making advances on the battlefield, while Ukrainian forces are continuously retreating and unable to hold their positions. The 27 European Union leaders gathered in Brussels on Thursday to reaffirm support for Ukraine ahead of the second Trump term. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky attended the summit, called on Donald Trump to join forces with Europe to help save Ukraine after the conflict concludes. The plea came amid concerns that NATO skeptic US President-elect might undermine Kiev's efforts by reducing American support for the conflict.
I think that President Trump is a strong man, and I want very much to have him on our side. For me, it's very important. I want to discuss with him more details about this war. I think it's very important because he was not in this war, because he was not the president. It's understandable. And I want to share with him more details.
Zelensky added European security guarantees and a frozen conflict would not be enough for Ukraine, which aspires to join the transatlantic military alliance, NATO.
We must understand with you that we cannot live with a frozen conflict. When it comes to a ceasefire in any conflict, in any war, people know what will happen after, how it will all end. We need to know what tomorrow is in order to make a ceasefire today. Otherwise, you are going to create a frozen conflict, and that's it. And that's why Ukraine needs security guarantees, a strong position of Ukraine and security guarantees. Of course, Ukraine wants the war to end.
Meanwhile, the European Union announced an additional 30 billion euros of financial support to Ukraine in 2025 after meeting with EU leaders in Brussels.
We will implement the 15 sanctions package against Russia we approve this week. This package closes loopholes and limits circumvention, and especially targets the so-called shadow fleet. Second, we have already delivered about 130 billion euros of financial support, and we will deliver an additional 30 billion euro in 2025.
In a surprise announcement, U.S. Defense Department has said number of American troops have doubled in Syria, an increase that predates the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime this month. The Pentagon spokesperson said United States currently has approximately 2,000 troops in Syria, more than double the previously disclosed number of 900. He added that additional troops are considered temporary forces that had been sent to counter Islamic State terrorist mission.
Just very recently, I was made aware of the fact that, hey, maybe there's more forces than just a small number, or what would normally be considered, around the 900 range. So we asked to look into it. Got those numbers today, significantly higher than 900, which is again why we wanted to let you know. Now, those forces, what they've been doing is all focused on the defeat ISIS mission.
Syria's de facto leader, Ahmed al-Shara, has offered a conciliatory tone, saying that Western countries needed to lift sanctions as Syria prepares for a transitional period. Shara leads the Islamist Hayat Tahrir al-Sham HTS group that swept Assad from power early this month, ending the family's 5-decade iron-fisted rule.
We must deal with the Syrian issue in line with current events. These current events require the lifting of all sanctions because these sanctions were placed on Syria due to the regime that was ruling Syria and had committed all these crimes. So it makes no sense to convict the torturer and the victim at the same time. These sanctions must be lifted, then we will be able to implement our programs for growth and reform in the country.
The European Union has opened the door for sanctions relief on Syria after Assad's fall, but without providing a specific timeline. The leaders of the European Union agreed on Thursday on the key principles they will follow to normalize ties with Syria. In their joint conclusions, the heads of state and government called for an inclusive and Syrian-led political process that will guarantee the country's territorial integrity, national unity, protection of all religious and ethnic minorities, and respect for human rights.
We also discussed the issue of Syrians returning home. The situation on the ground remains very volatile. We're working very closely with the UNHCR. It is good that the UNHCR has access in the whole country of Syria. And one thing is very clear: with the support of the UNHCR, all returns must be voluntary, safe, and dignified.
Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) expressed readiness to help Syria meet its financial needs in these moments of transition. IMF Director of Communications Julie Kozak said the fund is monitoring the situation in Syria closely. She expressed hope that the country can now begin to address its deep humanitarian and social and economic challenges and begin rehabilitation of Syrian economy.
In terms of the assessment right now, the situation on the ground is indeed fluid. It's too early to make an economic assessment. We are closely monitoring the situation, and we stand ready to support the international community's efforts to assist Syria's reconstruction as needed and when conditions allow.
U.S. House of Representatives on Thursday overwhelmingly rejected a Republican-led funding bill aimed at averting a government shutdown. with federal agencies due to run out of cash on Friday night and begin closing down at the weekend. Government shutdown looms in the United States after the House of Representatives failed to pass a revised short-term spending bill endorsed by President-elect Donald Trump. The bill needed a two-thirds majority in the House to sail through, but lawmakers rejected it with 174 in support and 235 against. The rejection comes just a day before the federal government is set to run out of cash. If lawmakers fail to extend that deadline, US government will begin a partial shutdown that would interrupt funding for everything from border enforcement to national perks and cut off paychecks for more than 2 million federal workers. The bill, which resembled a previous version that Trump and Musk had criticized, included provisions to fund the government until March, when Trump will officially take office and Republicans will control both chambers of Congress. Earlier, Trump urged Republicans and Democrats in the Congress to vote for a newly unveiled stopgap funding bill to avoid partial government shutdown. In a post on social media, Donald Trump expressed enthusiasm for the agreement, stating success in Washington. But dozens of debt hawks in Republican ranks, unhappy about allowing the national debt to rise unchecked for half of Trump's term, rebelled against their own leadership to sink the package. Speaker of the House, Representative Mike Johnson, has been facing criticism from all sides for his handling of the negotiations, and his Speaker's gavel looks likely to be under threat when he stands for re-election in January. However, Johnson expressed hope that the bill will be passed on Friday night so that it can be sent to the Senate, although the party leadership offered no clear path forward, telling the reporters they would have to meet to discuss a Plan C.
I hope that this vote passes tonight. We will send it to the Senate. We will extend funding, and we'll come back, and we will have the America First agenda come in roaring in January for the American people. Thank you so much.
Funding the government is always fraught, and lawmakers are under pressure this time around because they failed to agree on full-year budgets for 2025 despite months of negotiations. Bureau Report, DD India. At least 35 children were killed, 6 others critically injured in a crowd crush at a fun fair in Nigeria. The incident occurred at an Islamic high school where a large crowd had gathered for a family event. Emergency services, including medical personnel and ambulances, were immediately dispatched to the scene. Security forces were also deployed to control the situation and prevent further casualties. 8 persons have been arrested, including the main sponsor of the event. In sports, India to host Para-Athletics World Championships next year for the first time in New Delhi. The 2025 Para-Athletics World Championships, the world's largest single para-sport event, will be held from September 26th to October 5th. The New Delhi event will mark the 12th edition of the championships and the 4th time it is hosted in Asia. It took place in Doha in 2015, Dubai in 2019 and Kobe in 2024. In addition, the Indian capital will also host World Para-Athletics Grand Prix for the first time from 11th to 13th March next year. Australia have dropped Nathan McSweeney after 3 tests and included teenager Sam Constas into the squad for the 4th test against India starting on December 26th. Constas has been scoring runs for fun in the first-class cricket this season, including a century against an Indian team in the tour match. 19-year-old also became the youngest player to score a half-century in the Big Bash League this week on his debut. Wicketkeeper batsman Josh English and all-rounder Bo Webster also remain in the squad. Before we close, a gentle reminder, India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves, entering the field of OTT platform. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you want great content for free, download Waves today. And with that, we conclude this edition of DD India Live. Namaskar.